Okay, in this video I'm going to show you how to place dimensions on the exterior side of your floor plan. Now you notice this is not the same floor plan we're using in class. That's intentional. I just want you to take these principles and then go apply them to your own floor plans. Okay, let's start off with some settings. Number one is the color setting. You don't need to do that. I simply have that turned on just to make things easier to see in the video. See, I've got a porch here in the back. This is the main floor plan, and then a garage over here. So normally I do this in black and white. You can pick whatever's easiest. Secondly, line weights. Okay, by default you're going to see most lines thick or thin with their assignments, just like this. And when lines get close together, if there are thick lines involved, you can't see the detail anymore. They all just kind of merge together. So it's really important, since we're going to be trying to select one of these thin lines, that you can see every one of them. And you do that simply by checking this setting. It's called thin lines. All lines now take on the exact same assignment, and it has no effect on what this will print out like. Okay, once that line weight is assigned, it doesn't go away by using this tool. This is simply a preview mode. Okay, so I've got thin lines turned on, and the next setting would be something we find in our actual dimension tool. So to bring up the dimension tool, you can find it on your quick access toolbar, align dimensions right here. You'll also find it under the annotate tab on the far left side. Or my personal preference is simply DI, that's the shortcut. Okay, now the setting that's crucial to us here is what part of the wall are we going to reference. You should know from class that we always dimension to the edge of a stud, which is that line right there. This is my siding, this is my sheathing, and this cavity represents the stud. So I've got inside face of stud, outside face of stud. Revit also recognizes this because it's the structural element of the wall as the core, which is why I've got my setting here at faces of core. Okay, you can see there are other options. You can go to the wall face, which would pick up the outer edge, perhaps the inner edge. But in this case we want the face of core, which should give us the outer edge or inner edge of a stud. Okay, we're ready to go now. And we always start off with doing what we call 3 levels. The first level being the extreme edge, or one side of the house to the other side of the house. So the overall distance is what I call that. I'm going to click right here on the very front, and I did get the stud. I'm going to zoom out, find the back of the house, and click again, and that gives me level 1. And you can see that I've gone as far as I possibly could, both front and back. Okay, there's the overall distance. Drag your cursor out, click somewhere in the white space, and that's the easiest level. You're done. Okay, level 2. Every subsequent level has to start where the previous level did. It's not entirely true. Just ignore what I just said there. But level 2 does start where level 1 did. So let's go back to the starting point. I'm going to click there, and this time I only want to pick up any turns in the exterior wall here. So I call this a major portion or a bump out. You can see this little bump out in the wall here. This, from here to here, is obviously a major portion of the house. So I'll pick up that wall, move my cursor over to the back of that major portion, and now I'll study this and look to see where I go next. This garage wall doesn't take any turns. There are no bump outs. It is a major portion unto its own, so we'll stop at the same spot as we did with level 1 and drag that out. When you get close enough to level 1, it's simply going to jump into place. It's called a snap, and you can kind of feel it even if you don't see it on the screen. When it jumps into place, you're ready to click. Zoom out, and I see that I've got 1 major portion, 2 major portion, and 3 total. Okay, and now that one's done. Level 3 has a little bit more to it. Now we want to pick up windows, any doors. So on this side, I mean, yes, there's a door over here, but I'm not going to pick that up on this side. Same with interior doors. That's going to be reserved for interior dimensioning. But I do have in the back here a door into the garage, so we'll pick that one up. Also, if you've got any partitions, and a partition is just an interior wall that intersects with the exterior wall. If you have any partitions that meet that condition, then you're going to want to dimension that line too, or dimension that wall too. So let's think about this logically. Okay, number one, if I were to come in here and think that because I'm on the next level, I need to start where I did with level 2, then I'm going to have a redundant dimension. Okay, that's pointless. No reason to do that. We already know that's 1'8". If nothing else, this is just confusing, so I get rid of it. Which means that I really have to start right here on this next gap. And that's what I'll do. I can't start at the window because what you're telling the contractor is how far from the last position or the closest level 2 position is the window. In this case, how far is it from that wall? So we'll start with this wall. And then we go to the window center. Okay, here's our partition wall. You need to either dimension to the top or the bottom. It really doesn't matter which one you do. You just have to be consistent throughout the project. If I select the bottom here, then that means I'm always going to select the bottom when we find this condition again. Okay, now I'll go to the center of this window. Notice I'm only getting the center because these are actually combination units. They're all part of one big window. They just have mullions that separate them. And now where do I go from here? I have no more doors. I have no more windows. It wouldn't do me any good to go to the edge of the house. Contractor needs to know where is this window relative to the end wall here so that they can measure over. So it's really this wall that needs to be dimensioned now. Same as the last level, and that's pretty common. Okay, I'll come in here, click, and pull that out. Once again, when it snaps into place, you know you've got it. Now, if you should make a mistake, you can always come back, click on something, and it will undo that selection, or you can come back and add more, right? So I actually needed that there, so I'll click on it again. And I could go through here and pick up as many more as I needed to. But I think I'm done, so we'll just drag that over to the right, click again. If at this point I recognize a mistake, I can click on the dimension string, edit the witness line, and I'm right back where I was just a few seconds ago. See, now I can come in here and say, oh, didn't mean to get that window, or yes, I did mean to get that window. And either way, we fixed the problem. When we're done, you just have to click in white space. I'm always tempted to hit enter here, and that's the wrong way to do it. Just click in white space, and we've now terminated that command. Okay, that's it for this video. That's only one side of the house. I'm going to do another video and just call it part 2, so that if you want to see the remainder of this house, you can skip ahead to that one. But if you can apply those principles everywhere, keeping in mind that you don't necessarily have to do the porch here, not yet anyways, first go around and do everything else, then you should be able to do, that should be simple enough for you to apply those principles. And good luck.